Welcome to the relationship theory, everyone. Here we take thoughts in, break them down, build them up, and play them out. We're going to be doing this outside today, of course, so enjoy the nature with me. I was just sitting by myself and I was just thinking about a few things, but I wanted to come on specifically today to talk about the Jesus syndrome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're at that point in 2021 where many of the things that we used to hold on to, many of the things that we used to believe no longer have a stronghold in our mentalities and in the way that we move about and do things in our lives. And this idea of Jesus is one of them. Not the faith, not the religion, but the idea of what he represents. It's over. And this is why. It's not necessarily finished, but I want to explain why the mentality is finished. It's finished because the idea of Jesus has too much of a focus on the cost of something. There's too much of a focus on the idea of what something costs or the price that must be paid. And the reason why this is an issue is because it doesn't talk about the fact that you may have already paid the price for things that need to be transacted already. That's the real issue. We focus so much on what he did for us. We focus so much on what was the need for something to be done, but we don't talk about what we get to have from it. It's always very abstract. We can say it's real because when you're a human, there's lots of things that happen in the mind that you can actually manifest. But the real problem is there's no conversation about what manifests, what actually comes to life. And that's the real issue. We have too much of a focus on how much something costs and not what it takes in physical form. And that is killing us. It's killing us. Because what it's making us do is wait for the abstract to come in its own form rather than what either already exists or what we already have the power to produce by ourselves without anyone else being able to give it to us for us, right? It's about adapting the responsibility back to ourselves, back towards ourselves about the things that we can actually have, and not leaving it up to people who might not know the nuance of the thing that needs to be given to us so that we can actually be taken care of. Because that's what's being missed. It's what we need to be taken care of. It's everything that we are trying to have, that we need, that we're asking for, that isn't being given because we have too much of this idea of the abstract idea about it. Or as though, actually, and this is the really important part, we might know what we need. Yes, great. We might know how it's supposed to come about. We might have the abstract idea about it ready. But here's the real issue. We think that we haven't done enough to have it. We think we haven't done enough to actually make it come to life. We think we haven't done enough for it to be realized. We think we still need to pay a price. We think that there is still a cost. We bypass every single thing that we have possibly already done to make the ask. I mean, think about Gary Vee. Gary Vee always talks about how, okay, you have this brand, you do what you need to do so that when it comes to you asking for something that you need, it can be given to you because you already have given so much that it should be easy for you to just get what you request, right? Yes, this is the same case. Too much focus is on the abstract idea and the cost, and we're not focusing on how much we may have already done to be able to afford what we're asking for. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about the labor, the effort involved that already provides exactly what we may have exchanged for what we're about to ask for. The time for asking is over. There is no more price to be paid because the price has already been paid. And I'm not talking about Jesus having died for our sins. I'm way beyond that point. Like I'm saying, we've already done enough of the work. Enough of the work has already been done to now simply take what is needed. You have to think about the fact that when you want something, you do as much as you think it takes to have it. This can also come when either someone is asking you exactly what am I thinking? I'm just repeating myself. But the bottom line is, it's time to stop thinking that there's a price and that there's a cost for what we need. There is no more price and there is no more cost. Everything that we have is already enough. And the reason why we have it is because we have done the work. The work is finished. So the Jesus syndrome, where we think that someone needs to pay the price to get something done, it's over, because everything has already been done. There have been enough human beings alive to have done each and every piece of the work along the way, regardless of whether you believe in God or not, or Jesus or not, or what he's done. Everything that came from that was an idea that said that, okay, well, once I do this and I get to have this, right? That's what's always been, that's always the question. Here's the final piece I want to tackle here. The idea of sacrifice. The idea of sacrifice is completely outdated. It's very archaic. And we do this in our lives, though. We do this when it comes to what we think something costs, right? The cost and what we think the price is of something, it still ties into sacrifice, in that we're not comfortable accepting something that belongs to us because we still feel like we haven't paid, we haven't given something up. Whatever we think this thing costs, it must include pain, and therefore, because it doesn't hurt, we don't think that it's affordable. And that is wrong. It's outdated and it's archaic. This sacrificial idea of what it means to have something, this alchemic idea where something of equal value must be exchanged in order for you to have what you have, that's over too. You have to think. Alchemy doesn't work in all cases especially if you had no idea that you have already paid the price for what you're about to exchange something for. The alchemic law does not apply in cases where you already have all of the resources and items necessary to produce the result. And that's where we're at today. We have everything we need. But it's us telling ourselves, because of this Jesus syndrome, that because we haven't sacrificed something, that we cannot have what is readily available even now today. All we need to do is take it. So I want to leave you guys with that today. This whole Jesus syndrome of about how we obtain the things that we deserve in this life, it's finished. It's outdated, it's archaic, and it's worthless. There's nothing more that we can gain from thinking that we need to give something up to have what we have. If you want it, take it. That's the relationship theory here today. I'll leave you guys with that. You guys know in the description box, I always finish this off like this. I have a book, You Are You, the idea. You Are You, Life, Relationships, and How the Idea of Relationships Affects Your Life. Please give that a read. It's an Amazon Kindle book. It's an ebook. You can go ahead and have that. And I also have a podcast. I believe the next episode is going to come out tomorrow. This is called Third Eye Movement. By all means, please, you'll find this in the description box below, along with all the other links. Please, use it as much as you like. Enjoy your day. Oh, one more thing, by the way, and I wanted to add this to this piece about sacrifice. There's also this fear of taking things when it comes to sacrifice, because someone's life hasn't been offered up in exchange. That is probably the crux of the Jesus syndrome that keeps people from moving anywhere in their lives. If it's not the cost of something outside of their life, and if it's not the price of something that must be paid, if it's not the effort and it's not the labor either, then it's the idea that someone needs to be given up for the greater good in order for change to come about. And that is the real reason. That's the baseline, fundamental reason why this Jesus syndrome that people have about change and labor and worth and manifestation and positivity and good things, that's why it's worthless. Too many people are waiting for someone to rise up to fall for them, which also makes them think that they themselves, if they step up, they'll be alone. And that makes them the sacrificial lamb. So you have that idea of being the sacrificial lamb bouncing around between each and every one person who thinks they're alone. That's why the Jesus syndrome is worthless, because everyone thinks they need to be a hero, when just by being alive, you already are. The heroes never run alone. You're not alone. Just because you're not talking about it doesn't mean that you're alone. And just because you believe in something greater than this does not mean that you're alone. That has nothing to do with it. So that's what we need to leave behind. Either we all come up or no one comes up. No one is worth being sacrificed for.